Yegor Bugayenko.
That's me.
That's you. You were the first one to be on stage at DevExperience 18, and you were, you made quite a show there, because everybody was like, "Whoa, this guy is really, really cool."
They disagree with me, I think. Some of them.
Well, maybe disagree,
Which is a good thing.
But you made a good impression. How did you feel the people in there? How was it for you on the stage?
Well, on the stage, pretty good. I mean, the reaction was good. It's not usually where people react actively.
How do you usually react?
Sometimes it's quiet.
Okay.
Sometimes it's quiet. Especially here, I had a feeling that the majority of them are office workers, and they work in the outsourcing industry,
Yes.
and that means that they're not really freelancers.
Okay.
And I addressed my suggestions, my forecasts to people who are like people in the future, people of the future, and they are supposed to be, in my opinion, freelancers, like people working in a more free mode. And I felt like these guys are not really not on the same page with me. They probably understand what I'm saying, but this does not really goes along with their own experience. So they're like saying, what? Really? Working free, remotely? Are we really lazy? We don't feel like we're lazy. So I was speaking more about people who are not the people in the audience. And that's what made it a little bit more difficult for me to...
Maybe they want to be there.
They want to be there, definitely. But at the moment they're like saying, really? These guys really exist somewhere? These programmers who are he's speaking about? These future programmers? So I was a little bit concerned, but they still reacted. So some of the provocative things I said, they reacted
Maybe
well.
you
Yeah,
click there.
yeah, they triggered. Yeah.
You know that I asked you in that interview for our blog about the differences in countries, and you said something really, really interesting, that we don't need countries anymore. We just need a coffee shop and a good Wi-Fi.
Yeah. That's what I feel. Yeah, I don't feel that we're like Romanian programmers or American programmers or German programmers anymore, because people change. They started to change companies 10 years ago. Let's say, like frequently. According to the recent Stack Overflow research, the majority of people are changing their jobs approximately each year, or maybe year and a half. So it wasn't the case 20 years ago. That's for sure. People were staying in their companies for years, for few years, for 5 years, longer. Now they're frequently changing companies, and that happened when I don't know exactly when it happened, but it happened some time ago. Now what's happening? I think they're changing countries, not just companies. They're changing countries. I know. I'm just speaking for myself. Maybe it's not really a good representation of the entire market, but that's what I feel. That many of people who I know, I text them sometimes, and every time they respond, yeah, we're in Thailand now, we're in Bali now, or we're in New York now. So we're traveling. They're changing places because they find it interesting to live somewhere, and they work where they find it more financially interesting or more technically interesting. So we don't really need countries now to divide us. We need countries probably to better organize our life, maybe. So Romania, for example, can organize the life of a programmer maybe in a better way than, let's say, I don't know, maybe like better than Thailand and worse than America, for example. But it's also will disappear in time. So countries will try to become better places for people, because people will be easily changing them. So when like 50 years ago countries were locking people, it was not so easy to just pack everything and just move to Thailand or move to India. Now it's way easier. That's why countries become service providers instead of being really homes or houses for people. So that's what's changing. That's changing the mentality of us, I think, because we don't, exactly like I said, we don't need countries. Countries need us. That's my point. So they need me to be like, for example, Romania would be glad for me to live here and pay taxes and work here. Yeah, I think so. Or France, or Russia. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not speaking about me personally, but us programmers. So any country would say, Romania would say like, hey guys, come to us and work here, because we know that you guys are pretty disciplined. You don't commit crime. You make good enough money. You pay taxes. You're pretty intelligent people. So come here. We need you. It doesn't matter where you're from. You could be Russian, you could be German, you could be Indian, you could be, I don't know, anywhere, Brazilian. Just come here. We want you here, right? That's what the countries in the future will try to say to people, I think. So it's going to be an opposite. Yeah, it's going to be the vice versa situation to what we had before.
Zooming in a bit into the presentation you gave Do you think that agile processes will interfere with networking, for example? Because let's take Scrum, which is an agile process. It involves a lot of meetings, a lot of catch-ups. So maybe it's not the way to work with remote people or disconnected people, which were from a beach in Thailand or somewhere. And maybe this is why you don't really like the agile process, because you need to be there somehow or connected.
I think that agile, by its definition, is not a bad idea, because their principles, these 12 principles of their manifesto, are pretty good. But they are, as far as I understand, they're being misinterpreted by so many companies. Companies think that face-to-face communications means being in the same place, means being in the same room, means being in a meeting. I think that face-to-face now, the understanding of face-to-face is changing now. So for now, face-to-face, the video conferencing for most people is even better face-to-face than sitting in the same room in the meeting face-to-face. Because in the meeting, we always lose attention to individual opinions. In the meeting, there is only a few people speaking and the rest of the people are listening. So when somebody wants to actually provide their opinion and express their opinion, meeting is not the most effective way to do that. A face-to-face would be way better when one person speaks to another person, delivering the opinion and getting back the response. So meetings, we needed them before when it was difficult to structure and organize information flow and knowledge flow. We didn't have any electronic tools at that time. Well, meetings, I'm talking about like 100 years ago, 200 years ago. That was the only way to like put all the workers of the factory in the same room and tell them what to do. And they were like discussing and saying, no, we can't do that, we have some problems. It was the only possible way to discuss. Now we have electronic means. We have, document sharing tools. We have ticketing systems, pretty powerful. We have this Git system. We have this video conferencing systems, where you can record your opinion and send to everybody. That's how, for example, I sometimes manage my programmers. Sometimes they ask me the same question, which is difficult for me to explain in writing, because that would take like a long time. And I understand that for them, reading a long document of some idea would be more difficult than listening to me. So I record a video. I record them a technical video. I post it on a private YouTube channel, which only programmers of the project can see. And they watch that video multiple times if they want, and they understand what I mean. So that's, I'm just using the technical instrument to achieve the same goal as people achieve through meetings. So I think that meetings it was a good tool. It's not anymore. It's getting less and less convenient for people. And only managers who are from the past, the managers who are like, my age and older, they are just used to that tool. They just don't know how to do it otherwise. So that's why, and they are in charge now. Managers are, older people, and programmers are younger people.
Actually, I think that right now we do have the processes to just say, okay, agile process that we already know and love, some of us, some not so much. Can you say we do have the tools these days? We invent a process that will actually be agile enough and also at the same time can work remote and adapt to technology?
That's what we are doing. Yeah, that's what my company is doing. We call it's called Xerocracy,
yeah.
The company, and we are doing exactly that. So we took the best parts from agile. So we want to be as agile as possible. No like planning in advance, no waterfall stuff, no strict requirements. We value a lot the relationship and communications between people, but we remove the necessity to be, to stay together. We remove that completely. We only work on freelancers, and we have many of them.
So you tend to externalize this process you have, so share it with others?
Yeah, it's shared. So anybody can join the platform, any programmer and any project can join Xerocracy and just exploit or utilize all the things we invented there. We have tools for that. We have a chat bot, which is the core of the platform. So when programmers join in and product owners, product sponsors, start their projects, then they all work remotely, not even seeing each other, not even having any, any digital chats as well. So only ticketing system, only communicating through the source code. And it works for us.
Yeah. You talked a lot of positive things about it. So are there any negative parts?
The negative part, yes, of course. The negative part is that the majority of clients and programmers are still used to the old methods, and when they see our framework, our format, they get really surprised initially, and then some of them like it, and that's a minority, unfortunately. But the majority say, no, it's not for us. I still prefer to be in the office. I still to be, managed by a manager. I still to be. People like to be micromanaged quite often, and because the micromanagement they have in these offices, they share. The micromanagement take responsibility off their shoulders. When you're being micromanaged, you're not responsible for anything, because any trouble, it's your manager responsible. It's not my fault because you told me to do that. So micromanagement is very popular for lazy and responsible, not really initiative, not really passionate people, which is the majority, unfortunately. So only the small percentage of programmers can really stay with us. But we know that there are millions of programmers in the world, so we count on this small percentage, which is still hundreds of thousands, who will be with us eventually. But there's a downside, like I said. The downside is that the market is playing against us. So the market works like that. Customers are used to work with programmers who don't want to be responsible, and programmers like to work with customers who expect programmers not to be responsible. It's a good combination. They stay like that on the market. It's pretty stabilized. So when we come in and say, hey guys, now it's going to be a new way of working, you customers going to work with people who know how to be responsible for things and who know how to work remotely. They don't want to see you in the office. They just will do what is required. The customer says, really? I have no chance to scream at them, to tell them what to do, to punish them, to be in the office and say, hey, why it's 9 a.m. and you're not here? I will fire you tomorrow. The customer doesn't have that ability anymore. The customer starts to work with free people.
I do have one last question. It's a personal curiosity. I've seen your just a screenshot of your GitHub account. You have like thousands, 5,000, whatever.
7,000, yeah.
7,000. So being a programmer, and know what the commit is. So you have 350 more or less days a year. How do you manage to do all that work? So it's basically what, 20 commits a day?
Yeah, it's sometimes more, but I think that I'm like I said in my presentation, I'm all about managing people through code, and really integrating social skills and social techniques with the programming techniques. So I'm the key architect, the chief architect of our platform, and I'm also an open source contributor, and I also love to do that. So it's like part of my life and part of my job. So I can't really imagine myself just doing. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I also write books sometimes. I write articles. I blog. I give these talks. So I mix that.
You don't sleep at night.
Well, unfortunately, yeah, I'm not. Unfortunately, because of this mix, I'm not as productive as I would want to be. So I'm not achieving as much as I would love to, because I'm doing multiple things at the same time. But if you look on the large scale, on like not the months where I usually suck, if you look at years, then like Bill Gates said. So I think he said that we always overestimate how much we can do in a year, but we underestimate how much we can achieve in 10 years. So I like this quote, because it means that we mostly try to achieve too much in 1 year, not understanding that if we be patient and more strategic, then in 10 years we will get better results than we would comparing to what we can do if we just focus on 1 year results. So my 1 year results suck, but 10 year results, I hope they're good. Okay.
So you're patient to be a millionaire.
That's my plan. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I asked him in the interview for the blog when he wanted to be when he was young.
Yeah, a millionaire, of course. Yeah.
Depends on the currency.
That's true.
Yeah, that's
Bitcoins
true.
would be great.
Yes.
There you go.
I wanted to ask you something else about DevExperience, because you're here in EMEA for the first time.
Yeah.
So how's it for you? This whole experience about DevExperience.
Well, it's not yet
Conference,
finished. It's not yet finished. Yeah, but
until
I
now.
like it. I like it. Yeah, I can't even find negative sides yet, even though I'm trying to always. On my blog I always give
I know
marks.
everyone is scared about
Yeah. I give marks for each for
Everyone
each
is
conference.
scared.
Yeah. So I'm always trying to find something negative in order to be
But it's
objective.
good because you have to give
To
us
be
some
objective,
feedback,
yeah. If I give everybody like A+, then it would be like nobody would read that.
Exactly.
But I'm trying always to find like what would be better, what could people improve, and sometimes they improve. Sometimes some conferences invite me for the second time, and they say, "Hey, this year we tried to take this into account."
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how it will work through the day, but I'm a little bit scared about the small breaks. 15 minutes between talks, because it's a little bit, I think it's really compressed, because on good conferences usually they're like half an hour. But this one is not huge, so it's mostly this half an hour for like 1,000 people conferences. This one is like less than half 1,000. So maybe 15 minutes will work. Aside from that, the technical part is good. I mean, it's always recorded, and
At the end of the day, panel, and people can ask questions, and you can answer. So if that you're afraid of, people interested in what you want to say will probably come and ask questions. So
definitely. So far, so good. I mean, I like it. I like the attitude of organizers, definitely. It was warming, welcoming, and a nice hotel, and the food and everything. So I'm like, I feel really relaxed. I'm glad I'm going to stay here till Wednesday. So I have three more days, today, tomorrow, and the Wednesday. So that's awesome, yeah. And the city is good. I mean, it's really, it's close to Ukraine in the way people look, in the way culture-like. So I find it really...
Actually, it's close on the map.
It's close on the map as well, yeah. And the food is really similar to ours, so I feel like at home.
Okay, perfect. Do you have a message for the speakers for the next year?
For the speakers?
Yeah, for the speakers, because maybe we want to invite some speakers for the next year, and they need your opinion and your way to say, if Yegor said yes, maybe I should go.
I prefer, I'll say something which you may not really like, but I would say that I think that conferences like, these physical conferences where we all get together in the room, in the big room, we sit and we listen and we talk, and then we drink coffee, and then we go around and we sit again. I think it's also kind of the past, but we need that. I understand that we need that, and we use that as a platform to generate digital content. So that's what I feel every time. Every time I go to the conference, I feel that for me, it's way more important the video content, which will be recorded and then published, than the actual presence in the room. Because look at the room, there were my talk, there were maybe like 300 people or so. But I guarantee you that when you've published that and I share it on my YouTube channel, there will be like 1,000 views in a few weeks. So the digital audience, the remote audience, is way bigger than we can collect, that we can gather in Yashi or any other city, actually. Maybe only big cities can really organize really huge conferences and give me the stage. But that will be like it's not really going to happen every time. So every time I go to a conference, I ask myself, will there be proper recording? I ask you that by email. Will they record the video? Will I have a chance to get that video? Will I have the high quality video? Will I have all that questions? So I feel like when I'm speaking at a conference, I feel like I'm doing a webinar. That's what I'm trying to always to organize myself that way. So feel it like you're making a webinar, which is going to be digitally available. So every time you go to the conference, if I'm addressing this to future speakers, then from this conference and all other conferences, demand them to promote your digital content, to create a good YouTube channel, to make a really digital outcome of the event, not just the place here. You will forget that. People will forget you. You will forget the quality of this coffee. You will forget the quality of the hotel. Everything will be gone in a year or so. But the digital content will stay in the internet for years, for longer, for way longer, and use it as a chance to not just only promote yourself, but to spread your ideas. I have some idea. Okay, it's a good place. They invited me. They are ready to host me in a nice hotel. Awesome. Let's use it as a platform to deliver my idea to the public. So
no country is just good Wi-Fi.
It doesn't matter for me which country, which city, which conference. All I care about is the quality of recording me speaking you can provide. That's all I care about. Everything else will be will be forgotten in some time. What I will remember, what will stay with us, is the content. So that's don't want to offend you. I mean, you're organizing a good conference, but you need to understand that what you're doing for the public, for the world, is you're helping people to deliver their ideas in digital format. Everything else is temporary.
Thank you so much.
I think so.
And see you next year. Okay.
Thank you.
No country is good Wi-Fi.
No countries, yeah. Just good Wi-Fi, yeah.
Okay.